One. Hello, everybody. It is your host, KG82 Live, aka the Cyclones Bookie, aka your defending YarskCap champion. I'm here with my new co-host for the weekend, Coach Prime. Hello, Prime. How we doing this Tuesday afternoon?
It's going good. I'm gonna tell you what. Last week, Kyler kind of talked some shit, and I took it personal. And we beat them, and we came out, we won. And we got Shane Sapp with us here today. Very happy. So I'll let you go back to it, Kirby. I gotta get that.
All right. I was not expecting that kind of accent. That's new, but
Yeah, I'm done with that for the round. So
as
that was fun.
As Bill Tito related to us, we have our beautiful co-host rocking the Donovan McNabb jersey, Mr. Shane Sapp. How are we doing this Wednesday afternoon?
I'm happy to be on, but from the previous video, somebody was trolling me. So we'll see if I have something in store for him later.
I know you're pretty much kicking off exactly where I think we want to start with. So let's just start it off right now. The golf rankings. You fell from the number 2 spot, I believe, all the way to number 7. What is your initial reaction? What's your feedback? I mean, let you have the floor here. Respond to Mr. Ludwig.
He's trolling. He's getting ready for a Thursday matchup tomorrow. I've got something in store. I've got a little twist. I don't know when you want to throw that in, but up to you. When we want to throw this twist in. I have my own rankings.
I would love to hear the twist right now. I want to start off with the twist.
Yeah, we might as well do it.
We could workshop into more of the stuff we want to hear about.
Okay, so Luddy always does his rankings on the most previous golf outing, which I don't think that's right.
It's true.
I like to get a different stance though. Let's go beginning of spring. Let's do rankings at the beginning of spring. So I have my rankings ready to go. So
as a sidebar, I do have the golf rankings up. Do you want me to put it on the screen so it could be side by side to see difference, or do we want to just have it? You got it off the cuff and read it to us.
We'll address those after my rankings.
Beautiful. All right, let's go. Take the floor is yours. How about we start with the bottom 4? That's how we usually like to start the rankings.
Okay, so bottom 4. So Schultes, top to bottom, I just have to put him at 10 all the time. I haven't seen the guy golf a full 9 holes, so you got to put him at 10.
Okay.
And I've seen few shots, but I'm not judging off of, because we judge off one day a year. Schultes needs to golf more with me so I can, judge him more.
There you go. All right. In the 9 hole, we have.
I hate it.
So 9 hole, it's always going to be Jared.
Yeah.
I don't have to golf with him more than once a year to know he's always going to be the 9th spot. Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean,
we golfed with him in high school. He's got the same slice since high school. And it's like, you've had how many years to fix that? Just turn the hands, Jared. Turn the hands.
Yeah, and to that extent too, it's like, there's a gap from 1 and 2. I think there's a gap from 7 or 8 to 9 that's about the same. I mean, There's gonna have to be some big things that happen for that to change.
Yep. And that brings me to number 8. Like there's a big gap between 9 and 8. And that's Joel. Joel comes in an 8. But he didn't get after it too much this year. He always had excuses for Wednesdays and stuff. So when you make excuses, you're not going to get better.
That's 100% true there. So your bottom 3, it lines up, I think, pretty close with Luddy with just switch shuffle around. And Jared, short game was very good. So maybe that was the difference in the threshold this year. His chipping was on point this year.
Yep. And then so number 7 spot. And I golfed with this guy quite a bit to start the spring off. So Ross comes in at 7. He started the year off terribly. I know he improved, but this is why we're starting from a different perspective. It's from beginning to end. It's not that one fantasy day, okay? Beginning to end. And for this standpoint, we're going from the beginning.
Well, I have to defend Kyler here. He has said most of the summer, like towards the end of the summer, you weren't playing very well. He said you were shooting in the high 40s, mid 40s, not normal sap. So he was also judging that. I think when
high 40s.
So you shot like a 47 or 45, maybe.
No.
I'm trying to defend Kyler a little bit because he's not here to defend himself.
He's trolling so hard. If I ever shot over a 47, 46, I'd probably cry. I'd hang it up there.
Hey,
But I
now,
battled.
now you know how I felt as number 3.
Well, isn't that what Ross and Axe shot when they did their outing? They both shot 46 and 47, and they didn't even play the difficult par 4.
Right.
So that's best case scenario. They're shooting a 50 and 51.
And they're at the top of their game, right?
Oh yeah, they're at the
Yeah,
top
no,
of the game.
I-
But no,
no,
the
I
conditions
agree.
were tough.
I think 7 was low for you. Like you said, a little bit of a troll job there for sure.
It's a troll job.
Yep,
So then
understood.
we come in at number 6, and that's Josh.
Hmm.
But yes, he did improve over the year. But beginning of the
Yeah.
year, Josh, he finally figured out his swing throughout the year. He changed up his swing. I think he had a new hand grip every single week. He went from locking to not locking to locking.
A lot of
So,
YouTube videos.
oh yeah, and you heard it from Tiger Woods. You can't YouTube. Fuck YouTube.
No, you can't. Nope.
Wait, is this censored? Are you gonna censor that?
Oh, this is not censored. We make sure that we
Yeah, well,
have this shit. I have a little thing on, is this video appropriate for children? I always click no. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
oh, I do.
So then comes to my number 5. Okay. So number 5 comes in at Luddy. Okay.
All
Do you
right,
know?
I like this.
Hey, you can't deny it.
Do you know why Luddy comes in at number 5?
Why does he come in
So-
at 5?
I beat him straight up beginning of the year. That's tough. Real
That's
tough.
not good.
That is. I mean, he's
Shane,
had to
Shaven
blow
never
you.
beat me straight up at the beginning of the year, so now I'm starting to see the correlation in your rankings.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't hate it. He didn't have to golf against any trash talking. He picked the guys that weren't going to say a word. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Then 4, I got Curb,
Yep. No, yeah. I mean, his drives are better than Kyler's are for sure.
and Curb obviously improved over the year. But then 3 comes in at Pooty, 2 me,
Okay, yeah.
and then I'm giving
Yep.
belt number 1.
Hey,
That's big of me. It's big. Beginning of the year, end of the year, I can't beat Bill. And that's why Luddy's at 5, because I can beat Luddy at the beginning of the year. He's not great.
Yeah, I know. Well, and last year he came out, or maybe 2 years ago, he told me, he's like, Bill, you have to give me strokes. I golfed with Caitlin, I shot a 45. So I mean, he has it in him to shoot that bad.
I mean, I don't hate it. So as a recap, bottom 4, we got Schultes, Jared, Joel, and then I think you misspoke. You said at 7 a Ross figure. I know him as Sacco.
Oh, sorry. Sacco.
Yes. So
yeah,
Sacco is
Sacco
at
got
7.
pretty offended by Kyler's rankings too, and I mean, they're pretty interchangeable. You can't get mad.
Yep.
From rumor has it, I don't know if these rumors are true. It seems like he likes to boast and share scores when he does really well, but people knows he plays a lot more and he's very quiet during those other rounds. So I'm curious
Well,
if
Shane,
he's
were you
doing
there?
some selective choosing of sharing of the scores.
Did Josh beat him last week?
Beat who?
Yes,
Ross?
Josh beat Ross. Josh beat Ross.
Yeah,
by
Josh
one
beat
stroke.
Ross last week. So I mean, Ross thought he was better than Josh. Turns out he wasn't.
So the difficult thing is every single week, Luddy and I gamble, right? So like we stroke for stroke, we know what we're doing. And all of a sudden Josh is hitting LB and then taking another ball. And it's like, what's he hitting right now? So it's hard to tell week to week, these guys. But Ross finally started gambling towards the end. So I got a better look at how he does. But if Josh kind of gambled more, we can have a better look at how he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough.
Nope, I 100% agree. So kind of rounding it out, Josh at 6, Kyler at 5, and myself at 4. And I think your reasoning is perfectly rational. You have never beat me at the beginning of the year, and you have beat Kyler at the beginning of the year. And in so facto, he can't be better than me then.
Exactly.
So
I mean, if he's going to base his rankings, put you 7 off what he thinks, you can do whatever you think with yours. And I can't say I disagree with him.
You should have seen him at the beginning of the year, though. He was missing putts. It's atrocious, but he'll only bring up like his good rounds. So it's like, this is the time to burn him.
Oh,
I respect that.
Or we have a Raw situation going. Just telling everyone about the good score. It's not about the bad.
Oh yeah.
And then the top 3, we got Pooty at the 3 spot, so he stays consistent there. Sap at 2, so staying consistent with last year's rankings. So it's not like you're doing crazy. You're following Kyler's rankings from last year, staying at 2. And then Bill, you finally finished first. How does it feel? Nice guys don't always finish last, my man. We just need a Coach Prime
I
outfit to
wish
come
I
out.
wish I had some music to go right now, like we are the champions, because I finally made some out.
But big of me to admit that, though.
I know. Yeah,
Yes.
no, well, I mean, Ross said that he's gonna go take on Josh. And when I was 3 and you were 2 last year, I went out and I beat you.
At
So
Frida.
no, then we played the Muni, I beat you there too.
Okay.
But I went out and proved it. Ross was talking to smack, and then he went out and lost. So it's like, well, you didn't really have a foot to stand on there. So
he kind of struggles when you have $1 or $2 on the line.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, you have to have those pressure situations to know it, which is why I like the format we did this year. Put those other guys under pressure.
Yep.
Yes, 100%. And we already talked about some potential changes next year. I think Shane was a part of those conversations, and maybe Bill, you were too, but let's just tease that and not reveal the format that we're thinking for next year, and then let Kyler sit on that, because I think it's going to make it a little more interesting to see what happens with it. But
I agree.
Appreciate the 2023 spring golf rankings presented by Ray's Refuse. So I'm excited to have that in the history of the golf rankings, and that will forever be earmarked and recorded in the histories of the golf ranking tab. So appreciate the insight there, Sapper.
Ray's Refuse. Sap, didn't you say we had a sponsor for this week?
So sponsor for this week is ChemNut Incorporated.
Can you tell us a little more about that?
A little more about it. My competition works for them, so it's a little troll method getting in his head. I'm sure he noticed it right away. But pretty.
Beautiful. We'll get into your matchup with Pooty here later, because it's one I definitely got my eye on. But quick, now that we're deterring a little bit from the golf talk, I want to ask you a little bit about your methods for the draft. So hand up, you were the biggest surprise in the draft. I know you traditionally like to start 2 wide receivers. And so when I was earmarking the first 2 rounds, you take 2 running backs. It threw off my whole strategy. You want to kind of give us some insight on what your general thoughts were with the draft this year?
I mean, I researched hard this year. I mean,
because you actually watched games. I forgot about that.
Well, I watched games. Not this year. Didn't get YouTube TV. But this year I spent some time researching who I should get. They said don't get 2 wide receivers to start off. So
very interesting. And then my other follow-up question, I guess, was, it seemed like you were the kind of guy to try to jump on guys that were injured and thought, like, you know what, this is going to pay off for me later. Is it more of you're going for gold and hope you can tread water earlier in the year, or what's your kind of thinking behind that?
So if I can get 2 to 3 wins before probably week 5, I mean, my lineup is going to be stacked, and I have backups to back up the backups. So I don't know. I feel good about the people coming in week 5, and I feel good about my lineup now, but I'll feel great in week 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to kind of expand off of your whole draft process, and then, I mean, your whole week 1 thing, I do believe we have a celebrity coming in to talk about your week 1. Curb, can you help me out with that a little bit here?
No. I most certainly can. Give me 1 second. We tested this out.
So now that I'm Coach Prime, I have people higher up that will call in to talk to us about things. So
okay, so just so everyone knows, they can hear us over the videos. So if you can be quiet a little bit as we watch this, so we can hear the message clearly.
Hold your giggling.
All right, let's do that.
Hi Shane, this is William Hung from American Idol. You got beat by Ray and you only scored 40.5 points for week 1? This has gotta be one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Oh man, this reminds me of getting criticized by Simon Cowell on national TV. Oh well, hopefully you do better next time.
Jesus. How much was that?
Yeah, so I mean, William, I think William put it perfectly there. He didn't quite get the beats by Ray thing correct. He thought he got beat by a guy named Ray. But I mean, do you want to expand off what he said there? Like, Was it as embarrassing as he was when he got criticized by Simon Cowell or anything like that?
I mean, yeah, that was a very good video.
Thank you.
As a big American Idol fan, I
I know.
appreciate that. But for
Best
my
money
40
I've ever
points,
spent.
for my 40 points, I think all the teams started slow this year. Yes, my team started
They
extra
did.
slow,
Yep.
but like I had Mark Andrews was hurt, but it's like I'm not at a point where I want to drop people in week 1 to pick up a crappy tight end. So like I'll
Yeah.
take an L just to, I don't know, keep my lineup set. When I think my lineup is good and bench is good, it isn't good.
No, I
Well, no,
100%.
yeah, and I get that completely, but I mean, dropping 40 points is tough. It's if you scored 70, we're gonna give you shit, but like since it was 40 points, like it was extraordinarily bad.
I think you said Jared got 39 one year, so I'm not
I
the
think
lowest.
later in the season he did, yeah.
Thank God.
So the one thing I will give kudos to Sap on is my stances for week 1. If you're going to lose, do so in epically proportional fashions like Sap
Oh, yeah.
did. Because what gave him the advantage is he got first waiver priority and his pickup, Kyron Williams,
Oh,
now
yep.
the full-time bell cow, potential top 15 running back with Cam Akers
And
being traded. I mean,
Cam Akers is done.
so what are
He's
your
the
big
Vikings
thoughts
now.
about that? I mean, is that's really had to change the outlook of your team right there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't plan on getting 40 points and getting first on waivers, but it helped out. And you know what? Part of the battle is being first to the waivers and understanding the waivers, Luddy.
Yes, 100%. So I think that's going to be huge for your team, especially with now Saquon's potentially going to be out a few weeks. So you have a very interesting team dynamic where you're going to have a lot of upside potentially later in the year if Jonathan Taylor come back, if Cooper Kupp is 100%. You're going to have that high upside, and so that's going to make it very interesting. But in the meantime, are you happy with your team? Are you exploring trades amidst all these injuries, or what's the kind of feeling, Ben?
I think I'm going to be at the point where I can trade 2 running backs for a good running back, So
Yep.
the option's there. But, I mean, come talk to me after week 4.
So you're not going to listen to any of my trade offers I've sent you to this point yet.
Yeah, you've sent some. I mean, they're fine. I don't know how you guys can trade so early in the year. I'm
I
just
agree.
getting
It's tough.
content with my team.
Scared money don't make money. I'm always trying to wheel and deal so whatever we can. But I mean, Bill Tino, do you got any last question before I give him the final one that I have? You got any last ones for him?
I don't think so. Did you enjoy the video?
Yeah. How much
Yeah,
was
How much
it?
did you
yeah.
spend on it,
$5?
Bill?
No, it was a little more than that, but
Was it really?
oh yeah, no, it was worth every penny though, just because. And Kirby was like the only one I really told because I'm like, I want this to be live. I want his live reaction. And being the big American Idol fan you are, I was like, Shane will appreciate that. So
Can I ask how many Idol people you went through? Like how many you were
no, so you
looking
just
at?
go to Cameo and I typed in American Idol and I didn't know any of the other names because I don't watch it. And then I saw him and I was like, well, seems reasonable. And they give you like 120 characters to type in the message and it worked out well.
Even though he struggled, but it was still
Yeah.
worth.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Was there a big black guy named Ruben or something?
Yeah, Ruben stuttered, but he's not on
Oh, he was. I remember he was my guy back in the day.
there. Yeah.
Big Ruben Studdard
Yep.
fan. But the
Nope, but otherwise I have no other questions.
last question I had for Sap, it's more so just trying to leave the floor open. Do you have any last comments for the league? Someone you want to point out in particular, or any general thoughts regarding how the first pod went? We already know you attacked Luddy. Any other general comments? We'll open the floor up to you.
This is tough. It's early in the year, so it's hard to have. Like I usually get my people throughout the year that I'm going against, and then I troll them hard. But it being early in the year, I don't have much. All I have is for Pooty that I'm going to crush him. That's it. That's all I have for you.
Beautiful. Hey, you know what? That's going to lead into a perfect matchup later. And I'm curious how things are going to look between the two of your guys' squads and the power rankings that Bill's going to unveil later, because Sap goes from last in points the first week to first in points this week. So I just Venmoed him a fresh
Second.
$10.
So,
Did you not finish first last
Oh
week?
no!
I got first in points.
Oh, well, Sap, I accidentally Venmo you $10. So if you want to forward that along to Bill, it would be appreciated.
Oh,
Yep.
I did. Oh, I wasn't gonna be the guy to text and ask for my money, but I didn't know that you didn't realize I scored 133 to Sap's 125.
Nope,
I-
I did not see that at all. So, Sap, if you want to forward that along to Bill, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I didn't know if
No,
second place
no.
was getting $10, so I was like, all right, we'll take it.
A little troll job on me there, I guess.
Hey, you know what? We got to shoot. We got to shoot. But with that in mind, Sap, I'll defer to you if you want to stick around for a little bit. Otherwise, we'll just kind of recap last week's matchups and then focused on the power rankings in next week's matchup. Bill Tino, do you want to kind of kick it off for us?
Yeah, so I think this week was pretty fun. We had a lot of close matchups. Kyler and I came down pretty close until Mozart got 25 points. Otherwise, we were pretty close. I know he was texting me throughout the week. Jared and Pooty, I don't know. Jared just kind of pulled away. Pooty didn't have a good week at all. Josh and yourself, Kirby, if you want to touch on that one quick.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that close. The one mistake I'll say I did do is too many times I look for how the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to go as opposed to just trying to win an individual week. I wanted to pick up Hunter Henry, but I saw his next couple weeks matchups were tough, so I rolled with Higbee, and sure enough,
Yep.
that was the difference in me losing. So even though I've won a number of years, I'm still susceptible to mistakes and got to learn from them.
Yep.
You got to talk about Luddy's 113 though. So as a guy that's usually on the bottom tier with Luddy, scoring 113 and losing, like how do you come from that?
Yeah. Yep. No, and I thought the same thing. So I was looking at it, and at one point on Sunday, I think it was, we were projected the 2 highest, and I said, God, I'm gonna get the second highest points, and Luddy's gonna beat me, and I'm gonna finish second to Luddy again, except in your power rankings for golf, I beat him there. But yeah, no, I thought it was gonna happen again where he beats me. I'm the second best. But yeah, so I mean, it was nerve wracking for a while. He had a bunch of good guys. Algier kind of screwed him over this week, but well then Fire Muth or whatever, he had a terrible game on Monday, so it wasn't even really a sweat. But yeah, no, it's just one of those deals where he's 0-2 now, so he really needed that win to kind of get himself on the right track, but it didn't happen that way.
Yep, 100%. And the fact that we're just down to just 2 teams that are undefeated between Axe and Built is pretty abnormal for this time of the year.
Yep.
And it's a battle and unfortunately Schultes, whose team I liked at the beginning of the year, Justin Fields hasn't produced, and with the Chubb injury, which was nasty, that's going to be a very interesting to see what all kind of comes up with all that.
Huge for me.
Yep. And then we got Shane's matchup, which was close. And then Pittsburgh decided to score 24 points. So, Sap, you want to touch on yours a little bit?
I actually do think people gave me shit for drafting Pittsburgh as a defense. So, fuck the haters.
I will admit I was one of the people that would have given you shit. So you can just say fuck you, Kirby, and make it a lot easier.
One thing that I would like to point out, I know Josh started 2-0, but I think his team is one that's going to drop to the bottom.
Ooh, okay, that's a little tease. So maybe Bill Tino, we kind of already touched base on most of the week 1 matchups. Do we want to touch base on the kind of dive into the power rankings and see where Axe will think is, or go ahead?
Well, the one I did want to touch on, I mean, I kind of glossed over ours quick, but the closest match of the week was Ross and Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Ross had a good chance to win it on Monday night, and then Olave and I think who's Joel's defense? It would have been the Browns defense. They held strong for him. I thought the Browns defense might choke it away. Joel won by a whopping 3.2 points. So, that was the closest match of the week. So I just want to touch on that one quick because I'm sure they're both sweating from Monday night there.
Yes, I think Hawkinson was one of my favorite values that Joel got later on in the drafts. He had himself a big game with 2 touchdowns. So kudos to him. And I'll be curious to see if Joshua Kelly is going to play any better with Eckler being out potentially this week as well, because he wasn't that great last week, but he got a win. And that's all that matters.
Yep.
And being a Sacco, like those close matches, you need those because you're going to go back to your Sacco-ish self, right?
And we are speaking to one of the foremost experts on said sack. So the fact that you're able to kind of help guide him through this path, I mean, that advice is invaluable, and I really hope that he reaches out to you for more wisdomly advice.
Well, and to go off those Sackwish ways, based off like the draft recap, I forget who Sapple drafted, but it was like the Tom Brady thing. They were good in 2011, so they're probably still good now. I mean, he drafted like OBJ. There's a couple other guys on your team that were guys. Adam Thielen was on your team. Just a couple guys that are older over the hill that you just love. So, I mean, Sacco ways.
I don't agree with you on the OBJ, though. I think he has potential. I think they'll find him more. I think Lamar I don't know. He's not as good of a quarterback as we thought he was.
So wouldn't that in turn hurt OBJ? Run.
What?
How is OBJ going to get the ball if Lamar's not as good of a quarterback?
I know. Right. And that's
and Mark Andrews and who's their rookie?
Zay Flowers.
Yeah, Zay Flowers, yeah.
So needless to say, I'm open to trades on OBJ. So hit me up.
I will send you Steven Gostkowski. But with that in mind, Biltino, Mr. Built Different, let's go ahead and jump into these week 2 power rankings and see what in the world that we got.
I'll let you pull your last week's rankings up.
Boom. So we got the last 3 weeks of rankings on here. So I will leave the floor to you, go from 10 to 7, and then Sap and I will give
like Sap said, it's tough early in these weeks to know exactly what's going on. So there's going to be a lot of switching around here. So at number 10, I have JLS, Mr. Jacob Loaded Schultes. He's got Fields, who knows? He was blaming coaching, then he took it back. Breece Hall, he started tweeting about not getting enough carries. I think he's a stud, but if they don't give him the ball, it's not going to happen. Chubb got hurt. Travis Kelce is a stud, obviously. And then his wideouts are okay. I mean, he's got Devonta Smith, then the Seattle guys, and Mike Williams. So just a bunch of guys that are going to be sharing the wealth. That's the issues with his team. But mainly just his injuries are where I'm going with him being at 10, because I started looking forward more rather than just the week scores. So I think he's going to have problems with those injuries. And then do you want me to go through 8 or 7?
Go all the way through 7.
7? Okay. So number 9, here's a big change. We have Pooty. This changed mid golf round, so I golfed earlier. This changed. I had him around the 7, but Cam Akers going to the Vikings, I had to move him down because now Alexander Madison's going to get less carries for him, potentially. I would think so in the future. I still like his team relatively enough, but he still got quarterback issues. Whether Richardson will be good or not. Miles Sanders starting to split carries. I think I could have run faster than Najee Harris the other night. I think after week 1, my rating was high on him because he had Tyreek. I had Tyreek goggles on. Without Tyreek, Pooty would scored 86 points if you take like 20 points off of his 39. So, that's where I'm at with Pooty. At 8, I have Luddy. He's got Josh Allen. Austin Eckler's a health risk. He's got good wide receivers, CD, T. Higgins, and Godwin. But after that, it falls off fast. So injury happens to any of those, which Godwin's injury prone, he's in trouble. At 7, I've got Jared. I think he's got some QB questions. Kirk Cousins is like the 2nd-rated quarterback or something like that. But Joe Burrow's his guy, so he needs to figure it out. Obviously, has CMC. And then Joe Mixon, Calvin Ridley. After that, I don't know about his team. And who's to say Joe Mixon doesn't suffer from the Bengals offense not being as good. So that's where I'm at with those. What do you guys think?
Pap, I'll let you go ahead and lead your initial thoughts. I know you kind of talked shit about Pooty's team, and guess what? He is all the way down at 9. So what are your initial thoughts here?
So I actually have him at 7. We are actually very close. I had Schultes, Jared, and my thoughts on Josh. Josh is number 8 because this is going forward, right?
Correct. Yep.
So I have Schultes, Jared, Josh, Pooty.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting with Schultes and Kyler. I don't hate their teams, but obviously I know at least in terms of Schultes, his depth is non-existent. So
yeah.
I'm curious if people are already trying to poach him for Kelce for 2 good players or 3 good players. or if Kyler people are trying to poach Eckler or something so they can kind of build out the depth. But the one player I do like for Kyler is that Brian Robinson Jr. He looked really good his first 2 games with the Commanders, getting more catches. So still think there's a shot, but the time is ticking on these two, and they need to come up with their first win.
Yep, agreed.
And the one last comment I'll say, Pooty didn't love his running backs coming out of the draft, and it's just getting that much harder with Najee looking slow as hell, Madison not looking great. So it's going to be an interesting couple weeks, and Miles Sanders as potentially your RB1 doesn't sound that great. So it's going to be tough, and that's kind of reflecting why they're at the bottom. Too. Yep. So, all right, let's go 6 through 4 before we get our next comments. Go ahead and lead it off, Biltino.
All right, at 6, I have Ross. I said I'm not really sure how I feel about his team. He's got Jalen Hurts. Sacco, yeah, sorry, Sacco, my bad.
No, it's okay. I just don't know who you're talking about. The viewers were all confused.
It's tough to get used to it the first couple weeks. I don't know. Like, I kind of like his team. I kind of hate his team. He's got Jalen Hurts. You know, he's a stud. Rashad White is getting the bulk of the carries, but first week he looked terrible against the Vikings. I know the Vikings defense isn't good. Then he's got like Zach Moss, who looked good, but who knows if that's going to carry on first week with him. Jamar Chase right now, this is why I think his team has upside. He's wide receiver 63. Then Puka, which can he hold up what he's been doing? Kittle's an injury-prone guy. Aaron Jones an injury-prone guy. So I have him right in the middle because I'm not really sure about his team. So I have him kind of right in the middle there. 5, I have Sap. His
huge jump.
It was. I almost want to put you higher. Your first week scared me, so I'm still kind of basing off that. But moving forward, you have Kyron Williams, obviously, Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor if he comes back. So your team hinges on Jonathan Taylor. We don't know where he's going, if he's going to play.
And who has Moss? So that should bring their team down.
That would be Ross's team, I think.
Right. So
yeah, but there's no guarantee Taylor plays. We could have a Le'Veon Bell situation. I believe Kirby had him the year that he didn't play.
Yep.
And then you also have, let's see here, Cooper Kupp. How serious is that injury? They really haven't said much about it. He could be back week 5. It could be week 9. So if you're sitting there at 3 and 6 going into week 9 and he comes back, who knows? So that's why I have you still at 5. If those guys come back in week 5, you're going to be a juggernaut. I don't want to give you that much credit, but you will be. You're going to have 4 stud running backs, along with Cooper Kupp potentially back too. So that's where I have you. At 4, I have Joel. I had him low, so I also made him have a big jump here.
Big jump.
Joel's team, Lamar, obviously running, quarterback, started cheat code. Derrick Henry was the main reason I kind of dropped him. He got the bulk share again this week. Pacheco looks good. Javonte Williams, who knows? But Hawkinson is another reason why I moved him up. Devontae Adams is good. I love Chris Olave. So that's where I put Joel at 4. Thoughts on those guys?
Sapper, go ahead.
I had Curb at 6, Luddy at 5, Ross Sacco at 4. So we're a little different there.
Nope. Yep, that's fine.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think I kind of agree. I think the most volatile team in this whole thing is Sap's team. I think his whole team contingent, not necessarily on the running backs. I think he has enough depth and he's going to be able to make it work that 3 of them are going to be all right. I think it's solely Cooper Kupp. And if Cooper Kupp doesn't come back until week 8 or 9, I think his team falls apart. But because I'm not a big fan of his other receivers, but you put Cooper Kupp in there, I think he's got a really formidable squad where he's pretty strong at every position. I was 1 pick away from getting Andrews in the 4th round, and that was one guy I was really eyeing on. So I love that pick for him.
And that's kind of why I put him in the middle, just because he could be great, he could be terrible.
100%.
It's going to rely on that. Not terrible, but he's somewhere in the middle there.
And the big thing with Kupp, it's like if the Rams have to be doing well for them to actually utilize him when he comes back. And I feel like if they're not doing well, I don't think they'll use him as much.
Yeah. Kind of let those younger guys get some reps and keep him healthy.
Yep.
And Sap, I think you're crazy for putting me at 6, but fuck off.
Yeah, Sap, what's your rationale on Kirby at 6?
I checked his team out. Hang on. Continue.
All right, go ahead and go 3 through 1, and then we can get back to that.
So my 3 through 1, I have Axman at 3. Trevor Lawrence is good. Tua is good. So he's got to pick between those two. Tony Pollard's been a stud. Jameer Gibbs, I think since he's a rookie, he'll get more playing time as the season goes on. Stephon Diggs and Debo are both studs. Dallas Goedert, meh, but he's always been a solid tight end. And then James Conner's the starting running back. So, I mean, he's got a solid starting lineup. As long as none of those guys go down, which they can, they have injury in the past, but I think he's going to be all right. He's 2-0. He's putting up points, so that's why I have him there. I have Kirby at 2. Looking at your team, Kirby, I was going to put you in the 4 to 5 range, kind of like Sap did, not so far. Your team's good right now. I mean, you got Herbert, Bijan, all those guys, but I started looking at your team, and then I saw Kareem Hunt, Jalen Warren, Damian Pierce, Antonio Gibson, and I said to myself, Kirby's looking for a trade.
Oh, yeah.
So this ranking at 2 is more because Kirby's looking for a trade, not his current roster. If we're talking the future, I know Kirby's going to make a trade, and he's going to get some guys based off his running back depth. So then Kirby's team's going to bounce up. So I have Kirby at 2, and then I have myself at 1. I think my team's solid with Mahomes, JJ, Keenan Allen, if he can stay healthy, makes my team elite, I think. I think Mozart's proven enough right now that Wilson Jr. might not have as big a role when he comes back. James Cook is the top 10 running back without a touchdown yet. So I like where my team is at. I got Pickens as a wide receiver depth, hopefully, if he keeps doing what he's doing. So that's where I have those rankings at. Sap? Kirby?
Go ahead,
Take it away,
Sap.
Kirby.
Oh, all
You go
right, I'll go
first.
ahead. So yeah, I mean, one of the things I think is known for history, I like to trade, and my whole team is just picking out a whole bunch of running backs for upside. Running backs get injured the most. I mean, we've seen Saquon go down, Chubb go down. I like to have those potential home run running backs as my depth pieces. So I think me and Axe are neck and neck in terms of teams. I like his starters better, but I like my bench better. So it's really just what's your taste. If you think that I'm going to be able to make a deal later this year, maybe you like my depth, but if Axe's team never gets injured, I like Axe's team. So kind of splitting hairs. And Bill Tino, your team, I think, is clear number 1, solid starters, were in the top scoring both weeks. So no brainer there. How about you, Sap?
I do think, looking at your lineup, I think they start giving more carries to Elliott. That's my concern with Stevenson.
Mm-hmm.
I think your trade's going to be for a tight end, obviously.
Yeah, probably. That's what it's looking for right now.
So
but...
yeah,
that's what I
Schultz
see.
is kind of a sitting duck there. I've been looking at his team the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I see. Like your starting lineup right there. Just what are you looking at for tight end? Because you're not set with Hill.
No, absolutely not. We're just testing the waters right now. I mean, the thing is, there's finding a good tight end is hard to come by. Dallas Goedert, people draft Kyle Pitts, people draft what's his name, George Kittle. George Kittle and Kyle Pitts the first 2 weeks have a combined, I think, 7 or 8 points total. So an average of 4 points a week. So a lot of times for tight end, if you don't have the truly elite ones, you're kind of just trying to tread water and get by. And right now with Taysom Hill, I'm intrigued by the fact that the Saints running backs are hurt and curious if he's going to run more. But if all of a sudden some of the Saints running backs are back, I'll pivot to someone new and I'll try to get lucky and find someone to score a touchdown. So
I will say I almost put Schultz higher based off him having Travis Kelce, who's amazing, and then him having Kamara on the bench, which I know he won't come back until week 6, I think, or week 7.
Mm-hmm.
But that solves his running back problem. So if he can just limp along and get to 3 and 4, 2 and 5, and he has Kamara come back along with Kelce, I think he could be all right. And Fields, what he said today, if he just gets let loose a little bit, starts scoring 25 points a game, I think Schultz could be okay. But based off right now, you can't say that's going to happen. So,
and the last thing I'm going to bring up, just because I know we brought it up sometimes last year, we're not going to do it every week, but this week, what does the fantasy pros people have? And so
Oh no.
rest of
Oh,
season, Sap, they
geez.
have me number 1. What do you
Of
know?
course they do. How much do you pay for that?
I pay so much for
By
that.
11 points.
But all I got to say is, Sap, you are not last. You have Pooty in last. So
Oh,
congratulations.
big going into this week.
That is a
Wow.
huge matchup.
Sap, did you give your top 3?
The week 3 matchups.
Top, I don't think I gave. Yeah, top
No, you
3.
didn't. You didn't. No.
I go Joel, Built, myself, of course.
Hey, love it. Hey, Luddy's 7 in golf or 5 in golf rankings. You're first in fantasy. Both are
no.
kind of fantasy worlds, but
This week they have you two at the same score, Sap, for week 3 projection. So you guys
Is
are going
that
to be the
with
type
current
one.
lineup, or does that count your bench too?
I think it's just current lineup. I don't know. I just pull shit up, and we've done this before, so I'm going to do it every once in a while again.
yeah. No, and I enjoy that. A little different perspective.
But nope, 100%. So that is everything in terms of the week 2 power rankings officially locked in. Do we want to wrap up with just what the big highlighted matchups are for next week, and we'll kind of be on our way?
Yeah. So if you pull that page you're just on there, Kirby, the week 3 matchups.
Okay, I was not. You got to do
I
something.
know you didn't expect me to pull that curveball on you there.
You're
I think Joel and I are the big matchup this week.
I'm pulling up scoreboard. Boom.
Joel has a really solid team. I ranked him low the first week. Feel bad about that because once I dug into it a little deeper, he has a solid team.
I think so too.
We're gonna be having a dogfight this week. I think it's projected to be the highest scoring match. 122 to 117 on ESPN, and your rankings you had on your fantasy pros or whatever. We were the 2 highest graded teams on there too. So I think that's going to be a juggernaut match there. And then you just got to look at, the 0-2 teams. They got to get a win sometime. So Kyler against Jared. Can Kyler pulling off against one of our 2-time Sackos? And then you got Ross going up against yourself there, Kirby. So if you want to touch on yours a little bit, we'll let Sap touch on his too.
Yeah, I mean, super quick, high level between that's not week 3. So that's Kyler's playing Jared, it says. I don't know if this is wrong box scores or something because
no, that's what I said. Yeah, no, I said Kyler.
I'm playing Schultz. Gotcha.
2-time Sacco. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously get lucky where I'm going up against Schultz the week after he loses Chubb, so that obviously is going to be a benefit for me. I'm curious to see how Mahomes is going to do against Kansas City because that could be a shootout, so that's a little bit scary, but we're just going to have to wait and kind of see what all happens. I mean, these lineups don't look at all right because it says Darren Waller at tight end, and that's obviously not the case, so
yeah,
something funky is happening there, but that's all right.
Weird.
Sap, you want to kind of touch base on you and Pootie's matchup and your quarterback Patrick Mahomes that isn't right at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the week they let Dak go off. I think we're done letting the defense score. Let's let Dak go off for like 6 TDs. I mean, it happened early last season, so I don't know what they're doing now, but it's time to let him go. Let him unleash. I like my lineup top to bottom against Pooties. God, I don't think he stands a chance.
Is there any side bet you would like to at least offer here as before we leave for the people that we can see if he can respond to it? But chances are he's still not listening right now anyway.
Yeah, if he does watch, I mean, let's do $5, Pootie.
Throwing down the big bucks. I mean,
that's
probably going to get you a cameo for next week's podcast. So Lord only knows the $5 has to go donated to the Built and Kirby cameo fund that we can use.
I'll see if I can find any big time farmers on Cameo and see if they want to talk to Pootie.
I don't know if that's up Pootie's alley. He's more looking like the Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Deshaun Watson kind of player that's going to beat women, but that's a story for another day. But with that in mind,
I don't think they're on Cameo.
With that in mind, Sap, thank you very much for jumping on and answering to your critics, kind of flexing your muscles, the second highest scoring team this week. So kudos to you and being the number 2 ranked player on the spring golf tour this past year. What an accomplishment. Will forever be edged in the history of the YarskCap. So any final words, Sapper?
Thanks for having me on, and I don't know. Let's have a good week 3.
All right, Bill. Any last words for the people before we sign off?
Nope. Just good week 3, and let's go Buffs.
Bill is very excited that he learned that he could do a virtual background. So it's gonna
I
be
did. No, look at that. We got Ralphie behind me. It's so cool.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us.
And CNI, thanks CNI for being the sponsor this week.
Yes.
Thank you, CNI. And also I want to say shout out Penn State this weekend. Let's bring home a big W. And
Jesus.
as we know, the video, it might have to come back out, boys. So
I'm
with
shocked you
that,
didn't have it queued up.
we are signing out. Peace.
See ya.
See ya.